All right, here we go. Welcome into the show. You're watching the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr. It is Friday, June 20th, about 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 3:30 on the West Coast. Hopefully, you're all getting set to have an awesome weekend. And if you're sitting down on the move watching this show during the weekend, hopefully you have some good plans in store. We have a great show on tap for you. Major Niners injury news and a big update on Niners second-year safety Malik Mustapha. We're going to talk about that because he posted an Instagram video which goes to show that he seems to be recovering very, very well 21 weeks post-op after getting surgery on an ACL that he injured in the regular season finale that he tore back during the 2022 calendar year when he was playing for Wake Forest. So we'll dive into that, but also, did the Niners find their next Jordan Mason? And have they found another hidden gem with this UDFA running back who had a really good rookie minicamp and then carried that over into the spring for OTAs and mandatory minicamp? He could be making some noise once training camp gets underway in about a month. And for rookies, it's actually going to be less than a month. As always, you can support this show by hitting that subscribe button. We're one of the largest Niners channels on YouTube, one of the most watched as well. You can hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, share the video on social media, and of course, hop in the comment section as well. As for Malik Mustapha, last year as a rookie, after he was selected in the 4th round by San Francisco, I thought he played admirably well. And what I mean by that is that the Niners defense last year under defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen, they were one of the worst units in the NFL. They were poorly coached. I didn't like the lack of adjustments from Sorensen. The situational play calling wasn't good. They were a sloppy unit that couldn't tackle well. There were oftentimes scheme breakdowns, and they just looked and played like a JV unit when you think about what the standard has been for Niners defenses and what the standard is for top-notch defenses at the NFL level. Yet, there were a couple of young players last year who played very good football. One being Malik Mustapha, the other Renardo Green. I thought Evan Anderson at times played very well at defensive tackle as a UDFA. D. Winters popped from time to time. But Malik Mustapha is a player who I was very impressed with at the NFL Combine. High character guy, grew up as a Niner fan actually, had a really interesting football career because he was a 0-star recruit, I believe, coming out of high school. Then he really had to earn his keep. He went to Wake Forest and ended up developing into a really good player. Really twitched up, built up, yoked athlete whose relative athletic score in the pre-draft process was over 9. And once the season came around, big hit after big hit. And he has that old school, rugged safety type of mentality. Like when I was growing up in the early 2000s, the safeties in the NFL were thumpers. But they were thumpers who were really good against the run. They could cover. They could make their impact be felt in a variety of ways. The Brian Dawkins of the world, Ed Reed, Troy Polamalu, really before them, John Lynch was one of the safeties who really brought it week in and week out. And Mustapha plays that old school type of style where he will run right through you. He gets shot out of a cannon. That's his playing style. Whether it's against the run, whether he's making plays in coverage, he brings the smackdown. Now, of course, Patrick Mahomes gave him the old school Madden truck stick in that matchup against Kansas City in that Super Bowl rematch from Super Bowl 58. But all things considered, Mustapha as a rookie was one of the lone bright spots on that Niners team. And I thought that he played excellent football. But something happened in Week 18 where he had an injury to his ACL that he had gotten operated on back in 2022 that we didn't hear about until after the 2025 NFL Draft. So it turns out that in the regular season finale, for those of you who aren't familiar with this, he was playing against the Arizona Cardinals and he took a cleat to that same knee where he had the ACL injury back in 2022, and the graft inside that knee that was originally repaired had gotten damaged and injured. Mustapha left the game, and the Niners thought that he was going to be okay. But then he kept experiencing pain in that knee. And so a few days later, after an MRI, it revealed a slight tear in that ACL. And so Mustapha had to undergo surgery to get that knee cleaned up. And once that news was made official, following the NFL draft, it's like, damn, that's a bummer. We know how injured the Niners were last year. Shoot, since Kyle Shanahan took over in 2017, outside of 2023 when they made it to the Super Bowl, the Niners have been top 10 in injury rate every single season. And you're thinking, man, the season was over in Week 18. The Niners had nothing to play for. But when the season is over and you have nothing to play for as a team, us as fans, me as an analyst, I'm looking at young players. How can they develop? What do you project them doing as they progress in their NFL careers? Mustapha was a player last year, still is a player in my eyes, who I think can end up being a marquee contributor for this team at the very least. At the best, he can be one of the next pillars of this Niners team, a building block on the defensive side of the ball. Hopefully he can stay healthy. So when that injury happened, you're thinking, man, he could really have a breakout year too, and he can really hold it down at that third level, at that safety spot. But once we learned of that ACL injury, you're thinking ACL surgery, it happened after the year. The recovery timelines for these players, they're always different. Is he going to be out 8 months? Is he going to be out 12 months? There was an original report that he was going to be out until the midway portion of the season. Some people have said that he's going to start the year on PUP, which means that he's out for several weeks to start the season. And so that was a bummer when we heard that news. But today, he posted this video that I'm about to show you on his Instagram page. And by my count, this would be 21 weeks post-op for Malik Mustapha. And I just want you to look at how he's moving around and what exactly he's doing in these workouts. I mean, this is a resistance sprint right here. Then he's running this loop. I wouldn't say this is at full speed, but it's at least close to it. He's not really doing any cutting, but he's at least moving really well. And then here he's squatting, my goodness, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 45-pound plates on one side. So 10 45-pound plates. And then the bar is 45 pounds as well. So let me just pull out my phone here. I failed elementary algebra at Temple University in college. I'm a broadcaster. I speak for a living. So if that's 10 45-pound plates plus the 45-pound bar, he'd be squatting 495 pounds there. Now, it's obviously hard to tell. Those could be 25-pound plates. And so if it's 25-pound plates, and let me see. Yeah, it's 5 of them. That would be 295 pounds. So in this clip, Mustapha is squatting anywhere from 295 pounds to 400 plus. My guess, it's probably 295, because I think on that bar that you see on the ground that would be used for deadlifts, I think those blue plates are the 45-pounders. And those are the ones that I use at my gym. I'm not trying to brag, but, I've been getting after it about the last year. And I put on about 30 pounds trying to become a more hybrid athlete. So kind of know a little bit something about weightlifting nowadays, because I've been getting swole bulk season. But either way, the point that I'm trying to make, this is fantastic news that Malik Mustapha seems to be doing this well, this early removed from that ACL surgery. And look, he's not going to be ready for the start of training camp. That starts July 22nd is when the veterans report. But the fact that he's moving this well already, you absolutely love to see it. If you're a Niner fan, if you're the San Francisco 49ers. And he put that video up on his Instagram story. I'm surprised he just didn't post it on his actual Instagram. And the caption read, Week 21 post-op. So Week 21 post-op, Malik Mustapha is looking good. And throughout the spring, I got to say, like Jason Pinnock, Richie Grant, they performed very well throughout OTAs, mandatory minicamp. And I've looked at safety this offseason prior to us getting that context and that knowledge of them performing well as a concern. Both starting-wise, because Mustapha had the ACL injury, Jair Brown had the ankle cleanup, and depth-wise. But Jason Pinnock's a really interesting player. He's played a lot. He's extremely long, really twitched-up athlete who is at his best when he's going downhill. His TFL quarterback hit and sack numbers as a DB, he's played corner and safety, very impressive. He's not great in coverage, but you can hide a player like that, kind of like how the Niners hid Talanoa Hufanga. They found a way for him to become an all-pro while him not being great in coverage as that center field type of safety. Now, he was always around the ball. He had great instincts, great feel, great play recognition, and you lose him. So if you can replace some of Hufanga with Pinnock, who can do a lot of the same things, playing in the box, being versatile, being around the ball, and then you have Richie Grant, a former second-round pick, who, by all accounts, also performed well, and then you have Malik Mustapha doing better coming off this ACL injury. You have Jair Brown due for a big year 3 after he struggled a little bit in year 2. What has been a concern and a worry at the safety position could end up being a positive and a strength at that third level for San Francisco and Robert Saleh. The other thing that I've said all offseason long, when you think about coordinators, you always think about play calls, scheme, adjustments. But great coaches also help to identify and develop talent. Nick Sorensen can do that. Robert Saleh can do that. Those Jets defenses were not the problem. Why the Jets were so bad, they never found a quarterback. But Robert Saleh is a great defensive mind who has coached up, developed, and maximized defensive players. So, huge injury update for the Niners 2025 season with Malik Mustapha looking this good. What I want to hit next, did the Niners find their next Jordan Mason in UDFA running back Corey Kiner, who was not drafted out of Cincinnati. If it wasn't for this running back draft class being one of the deepest ever, he probably would have been a late-round pick. And this is a player who does have a lot of pedigree. He started his college career at LSU. LSU has had a history of some terrific backs. And Corey Kiner is a player who I think could end up being RB4 on this team, maybe competing for some snaps. Now, it's going to depend on how he performs, of course. But do the Niners want to keep Patrick Taylor, who right now is RB4, just because he has special teams value? That's a possibility. But it's been no secret that the Niners have had some success, and they've found gems with UDFA running backs in the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch era. Matt Breida produced for this team. Raheem Mostert did as well. Jeff Wilson, Jordan Mason. Corey Kiner could be the next. And obviously this offseason, the Niners moved on from J.P. Mason, trading him to the Vikings for that late-round pick. But did they find his replacement? The decision to move on from Mason I thought was interesting. They weren't paying him that much money. I thought that he could have been a great change of pace back behind Christian McCaffrey. You don't know how much Christian McCaffrey is going to play in 2025. The injury concerns for him are massive. He's missed 10-plus games in 3 of the last 5 years. So there's a track record of him being hurt a lot, and he's older. And Jordan Mason last year I thought was an excellent back. But the Niners must really like Isaac Orendo. And he's really made some strides throughout this offseason. Then the Niners in the 5th round, they took Jordan James. So, look, Mason wasn't making that much money. I thought that he could have been utilized wonderfully this year. Kyle Shanahan clearly never trusted him. Mason now might get more opportunities with the Minnesota Vikings. Mason wasn't a good pass protector, couldn't really catch the ball out of the backfield, and Orendo, Jordan James, cheaper than Jordan Mason. So you can see why the Niners made that move. I'm just not really in the business of getting rid of good football players, and I thought Mason was and is a really good football player, but he's gone. And so Jordan James is going to help to fill that void. Isaac Garendo as well, 220 pounds, 4.3 speed. Really unique athlete. Could Corey Kiner help do that as well? The Niners clearly liked him as a UDFA. They gave him a 3-year, $2.99 million deal with $255,000 in guaranteed money. That's practice squad money. So at the very least, I expect Kiner to be on the practice squad. And comparing him to Mason, I wouldn't say it's like a perfect comparison. Kiner is shorter and lighter, but he packs a punch at 5'8", 208. And why they are similar, picking up yards after contact, really good contact balance, and good zone and gap scheme fits for what Kyle Shanahan wants to do and trying to run the football. Kiner is a player who last year averaged 3.8 yards after contact per attempt. That ranked 9th among the 30 backs drafted and tracked by Sports Info Solutions for the 2025 NFL Draft. And then for those of you who watched our UDFA video, I had talked about this because I was a fan of the Niners signing Corey Kiner. Missed forced tackles last year in college football. Check this out. Ashton Jeanty, number 1 with 125. Cam Skattebo, number 2 with 82. Guess who was tied with him? Corey Kiner with 82. Ahead of Omarion Hampton, who was a high pick this year. Kiner's also a player who in the last 2 years ran for more than 1,000 yards, both in 2023 and in 2024, averaging 5.5 yards per carry in each of those years. Elusive rating, according to Pro Football Focus. Ashton Jeanty, number 1 at 217.6. Corey Kiner, number 2 at 163.8. And then yards after contact per attempt, Omarion Hampton, number 4. DJ Giddens, number 5. Corey Kiner, number 6. So he was right up there with some backs who got drafted, but not just that, some of the top backs in this draft class. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Corey Kiner can do for San Francisco in training camp and in the preseason. That's when we'll really get to learn and see what he's capable of doing once the pads get on, because he thrives with being able to pick up yards after contact. And during minicamp, OTAs, you can't do that because you're not wearing pads. You're not tackling to the ground. You're not tackling at all. And there is very minimal contact. All right, just wanted to give you that Malik Mustapha update, talk some Corey Kiner here on the show. Appreciate everybody for supporting the program. Have a fantastic weekend. Content to come, and we'll see you soon. Peace.